on a 5-year, $80 million deal. However, that same night, John Wall expresses that he doesn't want to be a part of that team anymore. Brandon, from a front office perspective, how do you deal with a situation like that?
Well, here's why front office people never sleep. You don't get a lot of chance to celebrate before you got to get back at it. So you do a great job in the draft. You get your key free agent signed. And honestly, you're building a team around something that looks like John Wall at the point and Bradley Beal at the 2. So you feel like you've got the best combination in the league, or arguably. And then all of a sudden that dynamic changes. But it's the business, right? And everybody says that. You got to be ready to pivot. And the real challenge is, if you really believe you have to talk about every player on your roster to make sure that you're doing the best job for your team, your organization, you got to talk about your stars. But it's such a fragile thing to get for them to become aware of that, for agents to become aware that you're discussing, because it shows, or in their view, sometimes a disloyalty or some dissatisfaction. And emotionally recovering from that can be very challenging and difficult. What Washington's got to focus on at this stage is repairing. And look, it may not last forever, but we've got a job to do. We want to do the best job together. Let's run it, because this is a playoff-bound team. If they can, if they're all healthy and able to reestablish their chemistry, because they did some nice things in this offseason, just challenging, and it's part of the job.
Yeah, plenty of people on social media talking about John Wall wanting out of Washington, especially with that huge contract that he has. Let's switch gears back to the draft. Georgia guard Anthony Edwards was the first overall pick in the NBA draft by the Timberwolves. He joins D'Angelo Russell to form a high-scoring backcourt in Minnesota. James Wiseman went number 2 to Golden State, and LaMelo Ball went 3rd to Charlotte. Edwards was considered by many to be the best player in the draft. However, there was some debate over who would go first. I caught up with the top pick on draft night shortly after he went number 1 overall.
Anthony, thank you so much for coming on to today's show. And this is such a huge day for you. Like, 2020 has been a crazy year. Describe how this night has unfolded for you.
I mean, like you said, 2020 has been a crazy year. But, it wasn't a crazy year for me, because I knew this year I was going to get drafted sooner or later. But, it was a blessing. It was a dream come true. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm blessed beyond measures to be in this position, this situation. And I'm just happy this team was, it came to the decision on drafting me.
You always talk about how your family is so important to you. How have they kept you grounded throughout this process in the middle of a pandemic?
I mean, I give all the praise to my family, man. Like, they always keep me level-headed. I mean, my brother always tell me, you ain't done nothing yet. My trainer always tell me you haven't did anything yet. And like I always tell people, like, even though I just went number 1 in the NBA draft, I feel like I'm back at the beginning. Like, I still got to prove myself. Like, I proved myself on college level, on high school level, but I haven't played a single game or a single minute in the league yet. So I feel like guys going to look at me like I'm a scrub.
All right. When you talk about, I actually heard it in an interview that you like to rap, right? That you're into music and everything like that. Yeah. I mean, when you talk about that, how has that maybe kind of helped you throughout the process? I know some artists or people that are creative, they love to do that to kind of take their mind off of what's going on. Have you done that at all?
No, not really. I mean, I sit at the crib and listen to beats, but as far as just taking it really serious and going in the studio and making songs, no, I haven't really done any of that. I think I just work on my craft. Being able to shoot the ball is the main thing for me, so that's the only thing I've been working on.
When you are, getting ready to go to this Minnesota team, what's the one thing that you're looking forward to when it comes to your professional career?
The only thing I'm looking forward to is learning. I feel like no matter how old, what stage in life you at, if you LeBron or if you me, you can never stop learning from somebody. Somebody has done something before you that you need to know. So I feel like as long as I'm learning, I'm getting better.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Anthony, for coming on and joining us. And congratulations. Such a huge night for you. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Back here with Brandon and Shams. And Shams, you broke the news on draft night that Anthony Edwards will be going number 1 overall to the T-Wolves. Why is he the right fit for that organization?
It was a matter of fit, like you just said. That's the perfect word, because the Timberwolves looked at LaMelo Ball extensively at that number 1 spot. There was some thought that they would go with LaMelo Ball because the flair, the media hype, and really the overall package that LaMelo brings on and off the floor. But fit-wise, Anthony Edwards accomplishes exactly what you need if you're the Timberwolves, being able to be a big, bulky 2-3 position, being able to guard really 4 or 5 positions on the floor. And so the Timberwolves look at Anthony Edwards as the perfect complementary piece alongside D'Angelo Russell and Karl Anthony Towns. And so when they went through their process, it came right down to the wire, but they ended up going with Anthony Edwards out of Georgia.
And Anthony Edwards mentioned that, he wants to learn from this team. Brandon, how quickly can he make an impact for the Timberwolves with less than a month to go before the season?
How quickly he makes an impact is going to be entirely up to him. There's so much expectation. I think they're going to give him lots of latitude to learn through mistakes. But this is a young team that's still forming their culture. If you get away from Karl Anthony Towns, who's established himself as an MVP potential candidate, these are all young guys that are hungry. They're going to be competing with each other. Jarrett Culver, who was a recent draft pick, Malik Beasley, who's still got a lot to prove and just signs his deal, that I don't think the players themselves are going to quite make it a cakewalk for young Anthony Edwards. But he presents so much talent, such a great package, that if his mind is made up, that he walks into camp as the starter and won't turn it over, there's no looking back.
And this draft was considered to be deep and not really full of superstars, Brandon. However, what player maybe gives their team the best value based on where they were drafted?
I look at R.J. Hampton in that case. You got a young guy that was expected to be a lottery pick and on certain boards could have been flirting with the top 10, who fell all the way 24. In fact, the Denver Nuggets had a chance to get him at 22, and maybe they knew something, because I think he's a great fit for this Denver Nuggets team that wants to play up tempo, that's got to find somebody to take the ball out of, it's got to take the point position and free up more opportunities for these guys to score on the wings and in transition. He's got a long way to go in terms of learning the NBA game. His body's got to fill out, but he's a competitor. He should be able to do it on both ends, offensively and defensively. So I'm excited to see what they're doing. They've done this over the last couple of seasons in getting guys that have fallen, whether it's Michael Porter Jr. or it's Bol, and giving them time to come into their own. And they're really surprising the league. So maybe they strike lightning 3 times here.
Yeah, plenty of value in this 2020 NBA draft class. Meanwhile, while the Pope was making some headlines for an Instagram like earlier this week, he's now making headlines for a good reason. Take a look at this right here. Pope Francis hosted a delegation that includes 5 NBA players and Union Executive Director Michelle Roberts to discuss their efforts towards social justice. Shams, how did this all come together?
The Vatican actually reached out to the NBPA recently and wanted to set up a meeting between Pope Francis and players, and wanted to. It was really an opportunity for Pope Francis to show the admiration and respect for the work that the players have done and their efforts towards social and justice changes, for pushing for social equality. And it was really a matter of trying to show respect and trying to show admiration. And the fact that the players were able to have this meeting, it couldn't have come probably at a worse time, because you're right before the start of training camps, right in free agency for many of these players. But the fact is this: if the Pope tells you that he wants to meet with you, you go and take that meeting. And so players arranged a private jet and flew over to the Vatican on Sunday, and they were able to have a meeting on Monday with Pope Francis.
Yeah, you definitely don't tell the Pope no when he wants you to come out. Brandon, just really quickly here, what's your reaction to seeing that?
I think it speaks volumes to how important the voices of our players are. And we talk about this, the progression over the years, but the level of respect paid, and then, vice versa, for them to understand how important and how impactful this will be. The images, the stories told, whether Catholic or not, this sort of just crosses all economic, racial, and religious boundaries, and brings people together. I think this is a tremendous accomplishment, and very proud of them.
Yeah, definitely great to see players doing that. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Inside the Association. For Brandon Williams.